A bloodbath tonight in the rural town of Chinook.
Everyone here is hiding a secret.
4 more victims found scattered.
Some worse than others.
I came as fast as I could. I'm Deputy Ruth Vogel.
And soon, my quiet life will never be the same.
Realm presents a 30 Ninjas production, Chinook, starring Kelly Marie Tran and Sanaa Lathan. Listen to Chinook wherever you get your podcasts.
Hi, I'm Jennifer, a co-founder of the Go Kid Go network. At Go Kid Go, putting kids first is at the heart of every show that we produce. That's why we're so excited to introduce a brand new show to our network called The Search for the Silver Lining, a fantasy adventure series about a spirited young girl named Isla who time travels to the mythical land of Camelot. During her journey, Isla meets new friends, including King Arthur and his Knights of the Round Table, and learns valuable life lessons with every quest, sword fight, and dragon ride. Positive and uplifting stories remind us all about the importance of kindness, friendship, honesty, and positivity. Join me and an all-star cast of actors including Liam Neeson, Emily Blunt, Kristen Bell, Chris Hemsworth, among many others, in welcoming the Search for the Silver Lining podcast to the Go Kid Go network by listening today. Look for the Search for the Silver Lining on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts.
In 2005, two brothers hit the road to chase demons and fight monsters.
Fighting a couple of angels, too.
And eventually save the world.
A bunch of times. Over 15 years, this series has built one of the most dedicated fan bases in all of entertainment, and that fan base is near and dear to our hearts.
That's right. I'm Rob Benedict. I played Chuck Shirley, a.k.a. God.
And you do a darn good job, too, buddy.
Aw, thanks.
Well, I'm Richard Speight Jr. I played Loki, the Trickster, and Gabriel, and I directed a bunch of episodes.
Wow, is that it?
Well, I directed you. I don't know. What do you think?
Though we worked on the show for years, we never sat down and watched the entire series.
But that was then, and this is now.
That's right. We are watching each episode and inviting the actors, the writers, producers, and crew to join us in digging into the story, the characters, and the mythology.
These guests share some fantastic behind-the-scenes stories with us. You're going to love those, and you're going to get our honest opinion about each and every episode. That's right. Those guests share some fantastic behind-the-scenes stories with us, and each episode gets a full, honest, and unfettered review from Rob and Rich. And you get to learn a little bit about how TV is made. Lord knows we have.
A warning, there are spoilers. And don't get frustrated that we haven't cut details for multiple viewings or that we know what happens 3 seasons from now. This is the first time we're watching these episodes. And you're there for the ride as we watch with our virgin eyes.
Oh, that's creepy. Thanks for joining us on our journey as we deepen our understanding about why you love this series so much.
Hey everybody, I'm Rob Benedict.
I am Richard Speight Jr.
And we are talking about Season 5, Episode 21, 2 Minutes to Midnight.
I have 38 minutes after 9.
Oh.
I think you need to synchronize your watch, buddy.
Oh.
What time zone are you? I'm sorry, confused. What are we talking about?
Oh, the name of the episode for Supernatural.
Oh, go ahead. What's the name of the episode?
2 Minutes to Midnight.
Okay, now I have 39 minutes. Okay, you know what? Let's just go ahead and record the episode, and then we can
figure out the time.
Yeah, we'll talk about
synchronize our watches. Hey, remember to follow the podcast on Apple, Spotify, wherever you listen. That way, you get notifications when new episodes come out.
Ding!
You never have to set your alarm clock or write reminders on your calendar or keep Post-it notes on your wall about
Who
Mondays.
sets their alarm clock for a podcast?
People do.
Do they set it to? They set their alarm to go off at 2 minutes to midnight.
Hey,
you can't write this.
So there's no more having to check. Doing what Richard does is checking the Farmer's Almanac. I know you're big into the Farmer's Almanac.
I just wish we would advertise on the Hog Report. I like to get up in the morning and check the Hog Report and see how that's moving,
right?
And how hog feed is trading on the market. It wouldn't kill us to throw a commercial in there.
Well, anyway, there's no more having to check your newspaper date or rely on the town crier or checking
That'd
the
be
Farmer's
you, Rob.
Almanac.
Sobbing your way through another episode of Supernatural.
Sure. And I'm also the town crier. I'm the one I'm really good at telling people something's happened.
While weeping.
Rather than helping. I just like to tell people. So follow the podcast to automatically get new episodes when they come out.
Yes. All right. Do the thing where you break it all down off the top of your head.
Dean is upset about Sam's idea about how to trap Lucifer. However, The conversation is interrupted by a call from Castiel, who has reemerged after his self-sacrificing heroics at the beautiful room. He has lost most of his angel powers and needs a bus fare to get to the boys.
Am I the only one that thinks the beautiful room sounds a little bit like a gentleman's club? Like, I did not know that. I forgot that's what we were calling that room.
I forgot that too, but you're the only person whose mind is always thinking strippers.
Wait, am I the one who heard you say strippers and immediately thought of a gentleman's club?
That's right. You are. But the beautiful room also sounds like a Prince song to me.
Yeah, it's true.
So Castiel's lost his angel powers. The brothers...
Wait a minute. Am I the only one who thinks that angel powers sounds like a dancer at a gentleman's club?
Yeah, I think that's going to be just you. I think...
I mean, that just sounds like it, like next to the stage, angel powers?
Yeah. No, you've got the thing about gentlemen's clubs. You're really...
So it's just me?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. No, Angel Powers to me sounds like a star of an 80s action TV show.
And Angel Powers.
Starring Angel Powers as the brothers pursue Pestilence to the Serenity Valley.
Wow, that's just good writing right there. A lot of alliteration.
Yeah, the brothers pursue Pestilence to the Serenity Valley Convalescent Home in Davenport, Iowa.
Am I the only one that thinks Serenity Valley also sounds like a dancer at a gentleman's club?
Yes. Go get a room.
A beautiful room?
So here's a question. Pestilence... Last time we saw him, Pestilence was that old crusty guy in the car, right?
Right.
And now it's Max Headroom.
That was the same actor.
That was him?
Yeah, Matt Frewer.
That was him for that first bit?
Right, Steve Hine? Yeah.
In the car? It really?
Yeah.
Wow, I did not recognize him in that bit when he's
just way more cleaned up now.
Yeah, I could really tell who it was. Well, anyway, great actor. Exciting that he's in this. I'm sure we'll get into this in fun facts, but Matt Frewer played a character named Max Headroom in the early 80s that was you couldn't not know who Max Headroom was.
Yeah, he was a big deal.
So they corner the horsemen, but Pestilence infects them with a combination of diseases, stopping the hunters in their tracks. Castiel suddenly arrives and musters the strength to cut off Pestilence's ring finger, rendering the horsemen powerless.
Yeah, that came out of nowhere. Mr. I can't lift a finger.
Yeah.
No, I have the strength to cut off a finger. Like he's like inoperable and then with cat-like reflexes,
right.
But no angel powers.
Yeah.
Right?
But I think he even said, though, that he had to muster it up. So Castiel cuts off Pestilence's ring finger, rendering the horsemen powerless. So the important part is Sam and Dean now have the third ring.
Right.
But Pestilence warns them that they're too late, and then he disappears.
Yes, he does.
Sam, Dean, and Castiel return to Bobby's house, where they learn that Bobby has traded his soul to Crowley in exchange for the location of death. He's in Chicago. Death is in Chicago. Crowley also tips them off that Niveus Pharmaceuticals is mass distributing the Croatoan virus in the vaccines for the swine flu. I mean, that's dirty business. I always knew the pharmaceutical companies, man. What am I always telling you?
That sounds like, I feel like that's sort of the TV version of the conspiracy theories that Robert Kennedy's conspiracy
Exactly.
theory,
Yeah.
Don't take the vaccine. It's got Croatoan virus in it.
Yeah. So Dean and Crowley hit the road for Chicago while Sam, Castiel, and Bobby head out to stop the shipments of the vaccines. Crowley also gives Bobby the ability to walk as part of his soul-swapping deal. That was
nice.
Nice of him to do, yeah.
Yeah, that was nice.
Yeah, it's nice that Bobby got his legs back.
Yeah.
Sam, Bobby, and Castiel see some resistance at the pharmaceutical company, but successfully dispose of demons, save some innocent people, and burn the vaccines. Castiel reminds Sam of the risks of consenting to Lucifer and that he'll have to drink a large amount of demon blood.
A lot of demon blood.
And we know about the whole thing about him and demon blood, right?
Yeah, man.
We see an epic intro of death exiting his Cadillac.
I mean, epic with a capital E. It is so well done. And by the way, let's go into so before they go in there, there's a great sequence, or sorry, not before they go in there, before they even get to the pizza joint and we see death arrive. It's when they're at some warehouse and Crowley is like, oh, there's a lot of reapers. And they do this shot where there's no reapers.
Uh-huh.
And what was so great, it was one of the best shots. Like if the death sequence wasn't in this episode, then the best shot in the episode would be where Crowley goes, I'll go in there and check it out. And you follow Crowley, come around Dean and sprint around Dean towards the building. And then suddenly Crowley speaks and Dean turns behind him and he's back there.
Yeah.
It's one shot.
Yeah.
It's super clever. And just, no visual effects, nothing, just good old-fashioned clever camera work by Phil Sgriccia and Brad Creaser. And I picture Shepard running around and getting back on his mark.
Yeah.
It was just so well done, so clever.
Yeah, it really, really was.
So that was before we get to death. And then we get to what I literally think may be one of the best sequences, one of the best character introductions of all time on any show ever.
Oh yeah, I was waiting for this. I was like, when do we get to see?
Yeah, dude. And then how excited did you get when you started to hear that song? Like,
Yeah. I thought for some reason the episode started with it, so I was confused. I was like, when is that going to come?
Me too, man. Because I've seen that isolated sequence,
right?
But I forget. I actually thought the episode ended with it. So when I saw it, I'm like, wow, it's a short episode. We're just going to see this teaser of death and then roll credits.
And how great is Julian?
Julian Richings is, if there's ever been a better casting choice, I don't know what it is. He is so good.
He's such a good actor too. It's so refreshing to see these friends of ours that we've gotten to know as people, and then to really study their work. He's so good. Okay, so we see the epic intro of Death exiting the Cadillac, and then Crowley gives Dean Death's scythe. Dean tracks Death down to a pizza place and is ready to confront him. The horseman magically retrieves the scythe. Death politely invites Dean to join him for some Chicago deep dish.
Which, I'm in. I love that Chicago deep dish.
Sure. And Death reveals that he is as old or older than God, and that he is bound to Lucifer because of a spell. He also says that he will eventually kill God. I thought that was an interesting thing. He wants his freedom, so he offers to lend Dean his ring. Death gives Dean the ring along with instructions on how to use them. Dean returns to Bobby's, and they test the rings, and what do you know? They're magnetic. Dean is concerned about Sam's plan to jump into the pit. Bobby asks Dean if he's more afraid of losing the fight or losing his brother.
Ooh, good question.
Fade out.
I think I know the answer, but I mean, dude, there's so much that is awesome about this episode, and I think it's all Phil Sgriccia. I think it's directed. I mean, obviously the performances are great, but the directing, the in and out of Crowley's in the car, not in the car, in the car, not in the car, stuff in Chicago, I thought was genius. I thought that it was just so well done.
Yeah, like you said, the introduction to Death. I think Julian Richings is great.
Richings is unbelievable.
Yeah.
And by the way, so is the guy who has one line, says, "Watch where you're going," and then like suddenly looks up and he's dying. Like that guy kills it. That whole sequence is framed perfectly, and you almost feel like it's visual effect-y, but it's not. Like the dude falls to his knees and drops. People in slow motion get up to take care of him, and as a woman wipes frame as she walks, like it's just perfectly shot.
Yeah. The background does really well.
I can't wait to talk to Phil about that. That's gonna be awesome.
And Matt Frewer as Pestilence is.
Oh, dude! And the opening teaser is great.
Just a classic, great actor.
It's one of the more, I guess this is the right term for it. It's one of the more humorous teasers. There's a woman dying and stuff, but like the projectile vomit, like he's like, "You're gonna die in 3, 2, bat."
Yeah.
I know.
And
I was like, it was so clever and well done.
And gross.
That was great.
And gross. Yeah, I know. It's great. It was a lot of fun. Is the next episode the last episode? Is this the penultimate?
That's it, man. That's all she wrote. Season's over.
This is the penultimate episode. I was corrected. That's not pentultimate. It's penultimate. And
no, pentultimate is when you're doing something with a tent.
Or
five tents.
Five
tents.
Yeah.
Oh, no. It's 5. Penultimate means it was written in pen.
No.
Ultimately, they decided to go with the pen. Penultimate.
No.
Oh.
But nevertheless, it's time for ratings.
Rob and Rich rating.
There was a little bit of a pirate thing in there.
Yeah.
Which makes sense because all the pirate references in this episode.
Yeah.
So, great episode. I mean, I really liked it a lot.
I was trying so hard to not give this a perfect score, too, because I was like, man, I got to come on, Rich, put on your real discerning glasses. You got Swan Song coming up. That's like an epic crowd fave for good reason as the season ender. Mm-hmm. You got to can't always be home run. You got to really watch. And I'm like, okay, yeah, this moment, maybe that could have been more. Okay, yeah. And then Phil just would level you with like different sequences and
yeah. And I honestly, and we'll ask him about it, but there were certain things that I felt like were Phil, not the script. I felt like things were like Dean's tossing a coin on the counter, and the opening shot is the coin on the counter. You know what I mean?
No, I actually don't remember the coin. What was
it? A coin or
the ring?
Or is it the ring? Yeah, the ring.
It's the ring. Yeah. That I remember. Yeah.
So he's like tossing the ring on the counter, just thinking, right? And we start on the ring, going, like
no, it's gorgeous. I mean, I think that the death sequence, I would love to see what it looked like on the script. Death walks down the street, guy bumps him, Death brushes his shoulder, guy dies.
Totally.
Like it's going to be so simple, and Phil turned it into this poetic, cinematic experience.
Yeah.
Even going like you and I know where they make the show. They did a phenomenal job of creating a Chicago-like environment.
Yep,
Like finding a place with a train overhead and you come down. And I mean, just it seemed like a movie.
Yeah,
perfectly done. And the song, which I believe the musician's name is Jen Titus, who did that version of.
Yes, her name is Jennifer Titus, and at the time she was working in the promotions department at Warner Brothers.
What?
Yep.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
Yeah, so we're gonna ask him about all that
because "Oh Death" is an old Ralph Stanley, bluegrass tune.
Yeah, it might even go beyond older than that.
It might be, yeah. I think he's the one who recorded it. It's probably an old song handed down for generations, but I think he recorded it, so he's credited with sort of being the first guy to put it out there.
And it's in the soundtrack to
Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
Yeah.
I think his version is in.
It is his version, but yeah, I got the feeling it was maybe it's like, well, and this is the reason that they got to use that song. They don't have to pay the rights because it's over 100 years old.
Right, exactly.
Same is true with Fare Thee Well.
Right.
It's one of those kind of songs. It's just been around forever.
It's just great. It's just such a great...
All right, beard it up.
I'm just reading this real quickly. "Oh Death" stems from early musical traditions of Southern Appalachia with its origins obscured by history.
Yeah.
It may have originated with Lloyd Chandler, an American Appalachian folk musician, after he had a vision from God in 1916. Yeah, it's one of those like bluegrass songs, just like everything that Earl Scruggs and Lester Flatt did, all their early stuff. They didn't write. They were just the first one to publish it.
Yeah.
They're the first ones to write it down and record it. Great use of that song. All right, here's where I'm going with this. It's going to surprise nobody. And I really tried to be creative with my criticism here and find nuanced ways to deliver an interesting beard rating, but I'm going Stapleton, man. Like you can't have that. If this whole episode was just the entrance to "Oh Death," I would go to Stapleton. It's just a standout moment in the life of the show and in TV in general. So I'm going Stapleton.
Wow.
And I'm going to Stapleton, not Johnson Brothers Stapleton or Seal Driver Stapleton. I'm going right now, Big Beard Stapleton.
Wow. Gosh. Yeah, I agree. And I was trying to save room for the finale.
I know. I literally, I feel you. That's what I'm telling you. Like, I was trying to not. I even had another beard thing. I'm like, I'm giving it this. And then "Oh Death" came in. I'm like, son of a biscuit. I didn't have a choice. I just didn't have a choice. I totally hear you. And I had other ideas and I thought about it. I thought long and hard before we started this podcast about what I was going to do.
Okay.
Which I usually don't. And I didn't have an option.
Yeah, well, I guess I'm going to go, mid-'80s Loggins. Because I'm going to go mid-'80s because I feel like it's well trimmed. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I knew
mid-'80s is
so Danger Zone Loggins.
Yeah, not Loggins Messina 70s Loggins where they're just like smoking weed. This is cleaned your act up. You go on top 40. You got to trim that beard. That's what this is.
I get it, and I think that's a good call. And that's still, that's as close to your highest rating as you can get without giving it.
That's what it is. Yeah. Well, let's go right to the source. Director and executive producer Phil Sgriccia, a recurring member of this podcast. He's
beloved regular on this podcast.
Yeah, and he's taken a break from directing Peacock's original series, Twisted Metal, to chat with us about this episode. And here's our conversation with our buddy, Phil Sgriccia. Phil, thank you so much for joining us once again.
Always a pleasure.
I want to say straight up that Richard and I love this episode specifically because of what you did with it.
I mean, it's insane how well directed this episode is. It's so
the "Oh Death" sequence alone is a standout. That's the one bit I had seen. I think because Richard said, "Rob, you got to see this," and I watched that years ago. It's so good. It's so good. That and Rich was mentioning that when Crowley you have a shot where Crowley sees all the Reapers. And so the Reaper's there and Crowley's gone and then boom, he appears.
Yeah, like he leaves, he's like, Mark Shepard goes like, all right, I'm going to go check it out. He walks forward and you hinge around Dean and then boom, he's behind Dean. It's a great, great shot. So cool. Yeah.
In camera.
I know. Well, let's talk about that.
Like how much of that, and also I noted the scene towards the end where Dean's playing with the ring and you start the scene with a shot of the ring sort of wobbling on the table. Like how much of that is Phil and how much is in the script? I get the feeling a lot of it's Phil. You going?
Yikes. I don't know. I mean, I'd have to go back and find my
I feel like a
notes
lot of times like the script will say Dean plays with the ring and you're like, hey, let's start with the ring.
Yeah, I mean, being an editor, I tend to think of how do you get in and out of scenes? What's the click? The thing that pushes into the scene or from a transition. If you look at the shot before, Dean looks down at his hands
Right.
because he has the ring on a finger, they just cut it off. So the idea was he's looking down, and then what he's looking down at is the spinning ring.
Right.
So that's the transition. So I don't know. I'd have to find the script and look at it, but I'm sure
we'll wait.
Probably my
we'll wait
doing,
if you want to go
I
look
guess.
that up.
I'll have to find the notes.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and say that a lot
somewhere.
of it is you, because I think what I just said was, I think what's great about you is that you get out of the way of the script, but you still find a way to enhance it, which is your job as a director, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, all of our jobs, I've told a couple of the writers before that nobody actually reads the script.
Right.
They only get to watch what we create. So the script is, I know writers I'll piss them off, but it's like a technical manual in a way, night exterior, hospital interior, operating room, close on a scalpel. All that's part of the exploration of what the story is. And it's a blueprint. And actually Andrew Dabb, I think, called it the technical manual. I was like, I'm stealing that, because it is kind of like, it takes another life off the page. Hopefully it's better. Hopefully everybody that touches it and looks at it and reads it and is part of the story makes it better. So, you come up with ideas. There was a lot of stuff that we built that backlot, Chicago Street, for the Oh Death song. Jerry Wanick and his magicians did the whole L.
Oh my gosh, I totally believed it was part of Vancouver. I spent a lot of time telling Rob, like, how did they find that location? I mean,
they're the one where Dean and Crowley go, and we're below the road. That's a real spot. That's a real spot. The Oh Death in the Street that was our backlot that we used for many years as different cities and different shops and things like that. But under where Crowley and Dean meet and chat, that's a real place that is on the east side of town. And we kept looking for stuff like that because Jerry and I are both Midwesterners, and we know what Chicago. I used to live in Chicago, and so you kind of know. And so he built the the stanchions or the columns that hold the L up on the street in the back lot, and so we utilized those. And then when we did the Oh Death part of that was the CG, and then the rest of it was real. We had big ritters blowing around because it was the Windy City, even though that's not what it means. We wanted leaves and stuff blowing around. It made because I knew I was going to shoot this in slow-mo.
Hey, this is Mark Shepard. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back.
As a podcast network, our focus is bringing you shows you love to listen to. But we also sell merch related to those shows. And partnering with Shopify has made that both possible and simple for us to do. Shopify is the global commerce platform that helps you sell at every stage of your business. Whether you're selling scented soap or offering outdoor adventures, Shopify helps you sell everywhere because they've got you covered, from their all-in-one e-commerce platform to their in-person POS system. What's so fantastic about Shopify is how, no matter how big you want to grow, they provide everything you need to get control of your business so you can take it to the next level. Businesses that grow with Shopify. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/realm. That's all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/realm now to grow your business, no matter what stage you're in. Shopify.com/realm.
Contained herein are the heresies of Radolf Burntwine, erstwhile monk turned traveling medical investigator. Join me as I uncover the blasphemous truth of a plague-ridden world, that ours is not a loving God, and we are not its favored children. The heresies of Radolf Burntwine, coming January 2nd, wherever podcasts are available.
We're back. Thanks.
Let's say with this Odeth scene, how did you decide to get this version of Odeth with Jennifer Titus, who we're told worked in the promotions department at Warner Brothers?
Yes, Jen, it was phenomenal. We saw a promo that she did, and I immediately, I don't know if I think I called her up right away or found where she was, and I said, "That's an amazing piece you did. Can we use it? Can we do this?"
You say promo had nothing to do with the song, right? You're just saying you saw something.
No, she cut that song
like a demo.
Was in a promo.
Okay.
No, it was in a promo of Supernatural before it got out, and all of us fell in love with it. And Jen was eager. She was like, "Yeah, go ahead," because she just did it on her own. And it was so cool with the deep notes, the humming, and everything about it was just perfect. And it became kind of the song of that year, I think, over for the audience. I think it became a touchstone of some sort, because we used it later with Lisa when she came in as Death a year or so from now, and she sang that same kind of version. It's an old, who is it?
Well, we
did a little deep. Ralph Stanley.
Yes, that's it.
But it predates him.
Yes.
I mean, we sort of it's an old song that has been.
It's a very old folk song from the mountains of Virginia or something. So it was kind of like pre-built, and once we heard it and we put it in, and then we played with the speed effect. I mean, there's so much footage there in slow-mo, but there's a lot of like little Easter eggs if you look at that set as the car drives up, there's actually a ghostfacers.com bumper sticker stuck to one of the pillars of the L train.
God, that's hilarious.
It's in there. There's a couple other things Jerry and I were messing with, and then Scott Clatney, our fabulous on-set painter. I said, "Scotty," I was always like putting bird crap on things to make it look more normal. So there was a bunch of bird crap around that Scotty was hand painting.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. He, every time I said his name on set, he goes, "Yeah, I got it. I know." We'd put it on the car and then do the wipers, so just smear it.
Oh my God!
But he's an artist. He truly is.
That's awesome.
In real life, he's an artist. So
yeah,
right.
Not surprising. And last time I had you on, you were talking about the horsemen and the colors of the cars, right? To match what was Death's? Is it a silver?
Well, his ring is white, and so we went with that big ass Cadillac being white.
Right.
So that was the main thing there. Right. And the scene was so much fun to shoot because Julian is so fun. Good. He doesn't have to do much. He's got such a angular face that I didn't want to over show him on that.
Yeah.
No, you don't. And that's the thing is like the giveaway when we finally see his face, that's after you've shown like him twisting his own ring, him eating a piece of pizza. Like we've seen everything but him. Yeah. But that sequence of him going out of the car, his hand on the top of the cane and just bumping that dude. And Robin even called out that actor who has one line is perfect. Like his reaction when he starts to die and falls to his knees. It's great.
It was super fun to do. It was just kind of one of those scenes that you don't get a lot.
No, and what is in the script? Guy gets out of car, walks in a pizza joint. Like you took everything and built this from the ground up, I assume.
I mean, I think it was that he bumped into somebody and the guy keels over. But I think because Jerry gave me a fabulous set, that it was kind of like, and the car, we always had cool cars with and it was kind of like, let's play here. And then the song came in and it kind of just flowered into that whole kind of what it was. But,
that's awesome.
It was fun.
Oh, yes.
We did the tilt down from the train. That was all CGI. We had the part of the train built, and then part of it was just the train going by was all computer generated.
Well, you fooled this guy right here.
Good.
Because I even watching it with a discerning eye, I was like, this is just unreal. And it still is unreal. But I thought you'd found some area with an L train in Vancouver.
No, it was fun, Mark. I mean, the whole cast was fun. Matt Frewer and I worked together on Max Headroom.
So talk to me about, getting Matt.
Casting wise, I don't know. I'm sure there's a whole list of people that they want to get on the show. And I think
so. You didn't have a hand in that. You weren't like, oh, I know him.
No, I mean, the thing is, we didn't know each other very well. I was an editor. So on the show, I would do some inserts and stuff. But, we chatted quite a bit about it while we were filming because, there's talk about resurrecting it now. This was how many years ago, but it was such a landmark show at the time. And it still is. If you look at what we did in analog days, of basically he's a virus. Max is a virus inside computer networks, inside of television. And it was pretty amazing to work on. And Matt is by far the most funny, insanely funny guy.
There's something Jim Carrey about him.
Yeah, people forgot he did Dr. Doctor for a lot of years, too. That was a pretty funny show. He is such a good improviser, and he gets scary as hell when he gets rageful at the nurse and stuff. It's just it's scary. It's scary.
He's an intense dude.
Yeah, and he lives up on an island in his llamas up near Vancouver somewhere.
Wow.
Oh, is he Canadian?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, okay.
And well, there you go, Rob. So is Jim Carrey, and also they have those very prominent teeth and jaw that they use as a comedy,
and that was very Max Headroom too.
Element.
That like. Wow, cool. Okay, what about the shooting of the photo for Crowley and Bobby's kiss? Was that enjoyable?
Oh, that was super fun. Jim, I think Mark enjoyed it more because Jim was
Yeah.
It's super funny, and I love that whole exchange. Why did you take a picture? Why did you use tongue? It made me laugh out loud.
Well, what was so fun is the head turns of the guys, of the boys. Like there was constantly, I said, when you turn, you got to turn together, right? That's the comedy of it. They swivel. It was pretty fun. And I know when we shot this shot, I think I said something to the effect of, "Oh, that one's out of focus. We got to redo it."
You monster. You're the monster of this episode.
And then, I don't know, we might have done it another way. It was one of those moments where, how far can I push Jim?
Man.
That one didn't work. You're out of frame. I got to get you in frame there.
Yeah.
Oh my God. That's
and of course, at that point, he's stuck in the chair. So
you speak about having comedy moments in this episode, which is very intense. You're introducing death, for gosh sakes. We're at the penultimate episode, and all these things are swirling about. But you really do find moments of humor in here that feel very organic and not heavy-handed. That one you're talking about. And then the other one that I thought was just great was when Jensen and Shepard are parked outside of the pizza joint. And Shepard's in the car, he's out of the car. He's in the car, he's out of the car. And the last one where he gets out, like, "So are you going to go?" Guess not. You know what I mean? Like, that whole, the last time when Jensen stands out the car. I mean, those are so well done and don't feel out of place. They feel character driven by Crowley, actually. I feel like Crowley kind of just being.
Sure, he's messing with them all the time. He doesn't want
Right, but that's a really cool thing you pulled off because you got humor organically in a situation that is not funny, per se.
Totally. And that's Jensen. Really, because
you gave him the road map.
But he gets the note also. It's like, all right, he's there, he's not there, he's there. It's like it's got to be so tight that there's no way Mark can leave except magically, right?
Right.
So you have to do it in the cuts above the roof of the car and then in the window. So that's a point that you can speed up or slow down.
Right.
Another scene that I thought was hilarious was Cass in the hospital. And the reactions that Jensen has are so amazing because it's like he just isn't talking. So it's like waiting, there's all this waiting for Cass to say something. And I thought he played that so well. I was like, yeah, get it in there, and we all like a good joke. So it's always better to throw those out there if they're within the story. And then you can have the horror moment right away. And change the audience.
Yeah, it still makes me laugh. The part of Castiel that is
the socially inept
inept. The Jeff Bridges movie where he's an alien in a body. It's that kind of
Starman.
Yeah, Starman.
Great
movie. But so it's that kind of thing. What he said, Jared said something. Sam says something. He said, "Now you're going to tell me this," and he's like, "Well, I can tell you that, but that's not at all how I feel."
Yeah. Hey, here's a question to circle back to the Jen Titus thing I meant to ask while we were talking about that. Does she now have a career in music? Was it her career path?
I don't know. I'd have to go find her. I know the later years in Supernatural, I think she moved on. I don't think she was in the promo department anymore. I think
that's just such a beautiful rendition of that song.
Yeah.
Production wise and singing wise. All right. So you had a hand in casting Julian, I assume. You're involved in those sessions.
Yeah. I mean, yes. I mean, again, I think there's a group of certain tier actors, you two being included in that tier, where you kind of go, these people can do any kind of job we need them to do, right? Especially being a horror laden show, and now we're into demons and angels and bigger ideas.
Well, was he an offer, or did he audition?
That part you'd have to talk to casting. I don't know.
Okay, so because sometimes it becomes like, I worked with him. I wanted to get him on the show. It wasn't that. Somehow somebody had a conversation. Well, kudos to them. He's perfect.
Yeah, and he's super fun. I did a bunch of episodes after that. In fact, I think I did the one where we killed him or got rid of him for a moment, and then Lisa Barry became Death.
Mm-hmm. Right.
He was perfect because he could be humorous. The whole pizza scene is ridiculous when you think about it.
It's a great scene, actually.
And
it's great.
He's not in a hurry. He's Death. He's going to be here tomorrow.
Right.
Right.
So he doesn't have a time. He's like retired in a way. He doesn't have the clock. Like he can be somewhere. And we created that storm outside because we were in the back lot. That actually was part of our back lot. And we had rain towers and stuff out on the street and lightning hits because I wanted this kind of unsettling because the storm's coming. We say it in dialogue earlier that Chicago is going to get wiped off the map, and then it all changes because he gives Dean the
ring, and then the rain clears up outside.
Yeah. So it was our doing of the storm and stuff, and I think that restaurant that Jerry Wanick built and the art department, and I think it probably had some leaks in it somewhere. I'm sure we were putting buckets around places.
Oh, funny.
Because
very realistic.
Yeah. But it was super fun to do. And again, Julian is just a fabulous guy to have Jensen play against. Because Jensen's scared, out of his pants. He's sitting there with Death. He could just go like that, and it's over.
Yeah. No, he played that really well too. Here's a random question. What do you use for the patient's vomit at the beginning of the episode? Do you remember?
That was awfully green. It was very green.
I noticed it seemed a bit green. Yeah.
It's hard to get puke right.
It wasn't pea soup, but it was probably somewhere in that realm.
A pea puree, perhaps?
Pea puree, maybe. I don't know. I'd have to talk with our...
Is that props? Is that a props thing?
A lot of times that's props or special effects.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the color was not disgusting, but talked about. Because
for sure. Yeah, we wanted a
specific.
Green. We definitely wanted a green bile because she was this petri dish of many, many diseases and viruses and stuff. And we had to make sure Matt had his glasses on as it happened because I think the first take, one of them came around, got him right on the edge of the eyeball. And okay, let's do that again and less because it was like.
It's really fun. It's really funny. I mean, again, talking about sliding humor in there is that's a humorous scene with him sitting down with that lady, and she plays it straight. She's great. She's worried and fearful and all that, but and then the timing of the barf was great. 3, 2, blah.
Yep. 3, 2, and
it was really good.
What was the mood knowing Eric was going to leave? That the next episode would be Eric's last.
No.
Pure joy. Daddy's leaving the house, and now we get.
No, I think it was.
Had you been picked up for a 6th season yet?
Seems like we would have been. I think Sarah took over 6 and 7. And then Jeremy came in, and then Andrew took over after Jeremy.
Right.
And Jeremy was a writer on the show. So Jeremy left to go do something else for a minute. And then he came back and took over when Sarah, I think her deal was up and she wanted to go do something else. And I think it was kind of one of those sad to see him go, but he also made it very clear his job was to create new shows. Mm-hmm. And by staying with the show, he couldn't do that. So he went on and we ended up doing Revolution together where I split time between Supernatural and Revolution for 2 years. And that came down the pipe, at Warner Brothers. And then his deal with Warner Brothers finished and he was over at Sony. So, I think it was, the boss is leaving, the dad figure. Eric set this up quite well with Bob Singer. Bob was one of the main spokes to get this show up and running and to be running properly. Yeah. I think Eric learned a ton from Bob, like I have. I mean, he gave me my start. I can't thank him enough for having the confidence in me to do the directing gig, because it worked out. But I think Eric splitting was, we all saw why he needed to go, but at the same time, it's like part of the family is going off to college, and you don't want to.
Yeah. It had to be a mixed feelings or just grateful / wish you well, kind of vibe, I guess.
Yeah, and I think he was very clear that he had a 5-year plan. One, none of us think that a show is going to go 5 years. And the whole thing about 5 years was that's how syndication worked. You needed 5 years so you have enough episodes to syndicate it elsewhere. That's all kind of gone now with streaming. They show shows that have 10 episodes and they repeat them. When you have 5 years worth, you've got well over 100 shows.
Yeah,
right.
That was always the thing. So, but him leaving, it was tough because it was like a new leader, and like Sarah's sensibilities are different than Eric's, and you go with that. So, and Bob, the thing is, Bob was around and I was around, so it changed, but there was still stability with how we make the show.
Right.
I can't say enough about this episode. Obviously, I've told you to your face and on this podcast that I think you're, next level as a director. But this is, even within that framework, this is an exceptional episode of television. It's so well done.
What beard did we get?
You got a full-on Stapleton from me.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, the full, and by the way, and Rob and I talked about this in great detail on the podcast. Both of us were trying
not to
pull back the reins and not be overly generous with our beard rating, because we know that Swan Song is coming up and we don't want to be, best. Everyone gets a blue ribbon. And so I was watching this and I'm like, all right, Philip, let's see what you got.
Yes, of course.
And as we're watching it,
kind of sliding here a little bit, are you?
Yeah. And so I'm trying, and then you did that bit with Shepard. I'm like, God, son of a. And then all the humor with Jensen, but all drama, Jensen. The Matt Frewer, his opening teaser, which was like great, and then you do the death sequence, and as soon as I hurled my pencil across the room. I'm like,
broke the TV.
Papers went flying.
Well, it's an odd episode in that there's not a ton of action.
That's why it was not good, because penultimates usually don't have action. They usually ramp up to the big. They're like a long act one.
Yes, exactly.
But you cleverly found ways to make it dynamic and interesting and gripping throughout this whole thing. This introduction, I'm telling you, I would love to see 5 directors do that death intro and
do it better.
Because if you never saw the footage, I think how you envisioned it and executed it is it literally is one of the coolest sequences in the entire 15-year run of the show. And it has to be one of the coolest character intros. Like if they were doing character introductions as like greatest character introductions on television, I would lobby hard for this to be among the best ever. It's so well done.
I gotta say, doing character introduction scenes I always look at the scripts, any script, and if there's a character introduction, I tend to gravitate toward that. It's like, what can we do here to make this special, to make this land for the character without being overly splashy, unless it needs to be splashy. If it needs to be Liberace, then it's Liberace. But if it's, something else, then it's, Bob Dylan or something.
Right.
Just make it something special that the audience gets. Sometimes it's the door opening and their head coming through or, something, and so these scenes are, in my head, very special because you're revealing to the audience something new that they haven't seen yet. And
what a unique way to do it, a way to drag it out, because we know it's death. They got a song going, you got the body English, you got the slow-mo, got the dude dropping, but we still don't even know what we're looking at yet.
Yeah,
it's just so well done.
Well, the thing that I love also is the audience has one thing. They want to know what happens next, right? That's pretty much it. What happens next? And if you give them the answers, then they already know what happens next and they get bored.
Right.
So by not giving them what they want, it makes them want to watch more. Right. Moonlighting is a great example. It's like, don't get them together. Don't have them sleep together at all in Moonlighting.
Right.
Because once you do that, the tension is gone. We did it in Lois and Clark. They ended up getting married. All that sexual tension goes away. Right. It becomes different tension, but you don't give the audience everything.
Right.
I honestly feel like that's why people listen to this podcast, to sort of will they, won't they energy that Rob and I have. And that's why we're dragging it out.
We're never going to get together.
We don't realize that you're actually in the same room, just with an actual cut.
Exactly. That's this fake background. We wheel this in.
So well, you guys are actually spooning right now.
Shush, Phil. You know things. Don't give it away.
Footsie.
Thank you so much for doing
Thanks,
this, man.
Phil.
I mean,
always fun.
Hey there, it's Misha Collins. I'm glad you're listening. This is exciting for me because I, too, am catching up on Supernatural. Stick around. We're going to bring you these important messages.
I'm Brennan Storr.
I'm Paul Bestall.
We're the Ghost Story Guys.
And every 2 weeks, we explore first-person stories of encounters with the paranormal from all around the world.
Then we have some fun reacting to those stories. We like to say our goal is to scare the hell out of you, then make you laugh.
Belief in the paranormal is not required. All you need is a love of great storytelling and curiosity about the world around you.
Come find the Ghost Story Guys on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and everywhere else fine podcasts live, or at ghoststoryguys.com.
Thank you for supporting Supernatural then and now. And now, back to the show.
Phil Sgriccia. There, I said it.
Phil Sgriccia is the man and truly Supernatural secret weapon.
Oh my gosh. And he's just so good at what he does and such a delightful guy to talk to about it.
Yeah. Well, and a great, maybe my favorite, one of my favorites. It's hard to pick favorites because then people would be mad at me, but one of my favorite recurring characters of this podcast.
100%. And so insightful and intelligent and willing to talk and share. And I mean, gosh, what a mensch.
He just makes me want to learn a little bit more about the mythology in this episode.
Well, then I've got good news for you.
Okay.
Because we have a segment in this podcast that you and I do together, and it is aptly named Mythology, Mythology, Mythology. Mythology.
All right, Death is the fourth horseman in the Bible and is described as riding a pale horse. And now here's Richard with a dramatic reading from the Bible. This is Revelation 6:8. Rich?
I looked, and there before me was a pale horse. Its rider was named Death, and Hades was following close behind him. They were given power over a fourth of the earth to kill by sword, famine, and plague, and the wild beasts of the earth.
Wow, it's a kind of a run-on long sentence there, but yeah, no, you did great. You were awesome.
By the way, did you notice that I was trying not to comment on this because I was doing a dramatic reading, with my radio voice. But it sounds like Hades is a bit of a tailgater.
Hades?
He's like, his rider's named Death, and Hades was all up in his grill piece right behind him. And Death said, "Yea, though Hades, back off a hair."
Really good dramatic reading.
Thank you.
It had a little Fassbender in your.
My Michael Fassbender, my little Irish Fassbender.
In various cultures, the personification of death also takes on different forms. In Mexican tradition, La Calavera Catrina.
Oh.
A skeletal figure, often dressed in elegant clothing, represents death. She's a prominent symbol in Day of the Dead celebrations where death
Dios de los Muertos, Robert?
See, where, of course, death is acknowledged and celebrated as part of life.
In Hindu mythology, Yama, the god of death, is a significant figure. He is often depicted riding a buffalo and wielding a noose.
Oh, boy.
Yama's role... There you go. Yama's role reflects a more structured and moralistic view of the afterlife, where one's actions in one's life determine one's fate after death. And, I got to tell you something, Rob. If you are Hindu and you know that death is imminent, then you know in your heart of hearts that Yama be there. You know what I
mean? Yeah. I was going to say, just as a friend, if I was Yama's friend, I'd be like, hey, can we take it down a notch? We get it. You're death, big and bad, but riding a buffalo, it just feels like a hat on a hat.
Every time you come over, finding a place to graze the buffalo.
Just how about just a horse?
And wielding a noose.
Yeah, come on. We get it. Like, put the noose in your backpack.
I get it. Carry a noose, but do you have to wield it?
Oh, if that wasn't fun enough.
Here we go with
Fun Facts! Fun Facts! Fun Facts! The episode title comes from the 1984 Iron Maiden song of the same name. It refers to the closest the doomsday clock has ever been to midnight.
Well, no, that's not true.
Well,
1 minute to midnight would be.
Yeah.
That literally makes no sense.
You got to bring that up with Iron Maiden.
I know. I gotta beef with Iron Maiden.
Yeah.
The working title for this episode was originally Collect All Four, which is actually very funny. Sounds like kid commercials of our youth.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I guess.
Collect all four.
Yeah,
Collect them, save them, trade them.
Yeah. But that wasn't a song, so they didn't do it.
No, Iron Maiden didn't write that song.
I'm trying to remember right now. There was something I was going to say as a fun fact that had to do with you, and I can't remember what it's
Me?
Oh, I know. Every time that Julian Richings is a guest at the conventions, Rich sings his own version of the Odeth song.
Right. My falsetto, my beautiful / horrific falsetto version of Odeth.
That's right.
A lot of people wish that Death would find me and take me mid-song because of my rendition of Odeth.
Yeah, that's true, especially the band.
Yeah.
Death is eating at Rinascita Pizzeria. Rinascita is the Italian word for rebirth.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
This marks the first episode in which, well, this is very Shakespearean. This is important
No,
because
it
this is the kind of thing where, like, oh my gosh, when did, Bugs Bunny first say, "What's up, Doc?"
Yeah.
When did Tony Soprano first eat a steak and breathe through his nose?
Right,
and,
sure.
Like things that happen in TV, Kramer's entrance in Seinfeld and, Dynamite.
Right.
All the classics in TV.
Right.
This marks the first episode in which Bobby uses the catchphrase balls.
It's like Fonzie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Good Lord.
When Cass says he was found on a fishing boat outside of Delacroix.
Oh, that's a Bob Dylan song, Tangled Up in Blue.
It is a reference to a Bob Dylan song, Tangled Up in Blue.
I love that song. Do you know, I didn't pick it up on that line. Now reading it, I did,
And in the song, Dylan says,
so I drifted down to New Orleans where I was lucky to, let me do it right. So I drifted down to New Orleans where I was lucky for to be employed, working for a while on a fishing boat right outside of Delacroix.
Tangled Up in Blue.
I love that.
It's a great song.
I said that I love that song one time, and my mother-in-law was like, I said, I love there's so many great lyrics. And my mother-in-law did not believe that I knew the song. She's like, really? What are any of the lines from Tangled Up in Blue?
Really?
And I said, she was married when we first met, soon to be divorced. I helped her out of a jam, I guess, but I used a little too much force.
Huh.
I love that. I love that song.
That's off of the album Blood on the Tracks. Blood on the Tracks by Bob Dylan.
By Minnesota's very own Robert Zimmerman, who changed his name to Bob Dylan.
That's right. Death drives a 1959 Cadillac Coupe de Ville. This car is very similar to the 1959 Cadillac Eldorado Seville. The only difference is that the Eldorado is a convertible, but the coupe is not. There's a story about a 1959 Cadillac Eldorado Seville being the death Cadillac because of a well-publicized murder that happened in one.
I wonder if that's something that Phil knew or if they just picked a cool-looking Cadillac.
God, I would imagine it was coincidence, but who knows? The show continually just surprises. I mean, when he was talking about the Easter eggs in the death scene, that he could put the bumper sticker of the
stuff we never saw.
Yeah. So maybe. Hey guys, that was listen, another great podcast episode, another great episode of Supernatural.
I mean, 100% across the board. I think we've done great work. I think Steve Hine did great work. Phil did great work. We all collectively came together to make this a great 1-2 punch of episode and podcast.
For sure. And we've got some important news here. We reached out to Eric Kripke and some other special guests for the final 2 episodes. However, schedules just didn't work out. So what we're doing is we'll be covering Swan Song a second time when Eric is available.
That's cool.
In the meantime, we're having a fantastic conversation with Steve Boyum, who directed the episode, and we'll have Eric and perhaps others on to get their thoughts on it. We know it's important to hear from Eric about it because it's his last episode.
We're going to do that, and we're going to make it happen. It just may be a little bit of a special episode down the road.
I wish there was like one of the hosts had been in it and he could talk about his experience. That would be cool, but he was not asked, so...
And the schedule's locked down pretty tight at this point, I think.
yeah, right.
And by the way, in fairness, I was asked, but I didn't think it was appropriate because I'm not in the episode.
Right,
right. So I told Steve, no, get somebody else.
Yeah. I might have a couple stories, but it's fine. It's fine. We keep asking. Let's just keep asking other people, and at some point.
Yeah, if we just work in reverse alphabetical order, I think that's the strongest move, and then we'll just go from there.
Very good. So stay tuned. Lots of fun things coming up, and it's going to be a great finale to an incredible season of Supernatural.
So true.
And we'll see you next time.
Yeah, we will. Darn right we will.
This episode of Supernatural features Jared Padalecki as Sam Winchester, Jensen Ackles as Dean Winchester, and Misha Collins as Castiel.
Guest stars include Jim Beaver, Mark Shepard, Matt Frewer, Julian Richings, Leah Gibson, and Christina Jastrzemska.
2 Minutes to Midnight was written by Sarah Gamble, directed by Phil Sgriccia.
Editing by Nicole Baer, music by Christopher Lennertz.
Executive produced by Eric Kripke and Robert Singer.
The original broadcast of this episode featured the following song. By Jennifer Titus.
There it is. This episode originally aired on May 6th, 2010.
Sam Klein's birthday.
There you go, everybody. This episode of Supernatural Then and Now was hosted and executive produced by Richard Spade Jr. and Rob Bennett.
Produced by Stephen Hine, written by Stephen Hine and Haida Holscher.
Edited and associate produced by Trey Booty.
Trey Booty. Trey Booty.
Music provided by Tim Wynn.
The episode was recorded with the help of Sonic Fuel Studios.
This podcast is from Story Mill Media.
Follow the podcast on Instagram and Twitter at SPN Then and Now.
Or become a member of the podcast at www.patreon.com/SPN Then and Now. Why is pestilence referred to as horsemen? Multiple people.
Oh, instead of a horseman?
Yeah.
You are a horseman.
I don't know if that's a Steve Hine-ism or if that's...
I feel like it's a Hine-ism.
Castiel cuts off Pestilence's ring finger, rendering the horsemen, all four of them, powerless.
He's got personality disorder. He thinks he's all the horsemen.
The episode title comes from the 1984 Iron Maiden song of the same name. It refers to the closets, the doomsday clots.
What? The closets? The doomsday clock is... Because that sentence with closets in it makes no sense.
Story Mill Media.
Talmor, Sheshin Marachi. Talmor is my home. My family have worked the land for generations. My gran says the island does not belong to us, but we belong to the island. And we must be ready, for a great evil is coming, and death follows with it.
Listen and subscribe to the latest season of Undertow, The Harrowing, a Storyglass production presented by Realm, available wherever you get your podcasts.
Don't you love it when you find a new podcast you really like? Well, let me recommend one. It's called Something You Should Know. I'm Mike Carruthers, the host, and in every episode, you'll hear fascinating information that will make your life better from top experts. Recently, we've done episodes on why you have the personality you do, the science of luck, and the psychology of a restaurant menu. You're going to like Something You Should Know. We have literally thousands of 5-star reviews. Look for Something You Should Know wherever you get your podcasts.